Good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. I am Tim, back once again for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series today at the Hungaroring for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I am solo in the booth, at least for the time being, as we are about to arrive at the beautiful F1 paddock at the Hungaroring, and what a thriller the races this week have already been. GP5, GP4, GP3 yesterday, and GP2 today, GP1 tomorrow. Don't forget about that. But we are focusing today on the GP2 standings, and it is Carwin Robb in the Haas who is still on top of the board with 131 points after a second place finish last week. But Max Iris in that Red Bull, he is really going to be a late charger. Already 3 wins in a row on the board, so he is really making Carwin Robb just a little bit nervous, if you ask me anyway. Carwin Robb, of course, he would never admit that, but he's got a decent points lead, 131 points to Max Iris's 93 points. Just behind Max Iris with 82 points is SFR Morris, who could have actually had a better points haul last week in the British Grand Prix, but he just could not get any luck on his side. A horrible race for him, so he's going to be looking for a little bit of redemption today at Hungary. So far, it looks like the skies are dry, at least for our qualifying session. And we have almost a full grid today. 19 cars out of the 20 that are allowed to race. So this is going to be a very exciting GP2 series indeed. Just waiting for the first man to blink, the first one to go out on the racetrack. And I hear someone moving. Looks like it is that Mercedes. He is about to go out. It's not Morris, though. It's Timo. Timo in the Mercedes. He will be the first man out. There you see him pulling out of the paddock already. And here are your tire choices. So we're right on board with Timo. This track has 14 corners, but he was actually not the first driver out on track. It looks like the first driver was Rogue Smithy in the Alpha Tauri. He has decided to go out on the medium tires. Of course, that could just be for a banker lap. So we'll ride on board with Rogue Smithy, and this chicane here is going to be a very tricky one. You can see those big sausage curbs on the end of it. You don't want to hit those. You're going to pretty much be flying if you hit those corners. This is a very fast section, but you got to be careful to not clip that inside curb. It is very loose, but you can find a little bit of grip on this one here if you're careful. Rogie Smith, you see him going a little bit wide. Oh, and he spins. He slides into the grass almost. So I'd say his medium tires are just a little bit lit up. What do you say? Does he pit or does he go for the lap? He's going to go ahead and go for the lap. So let's see if he's able to make this corner. It wasn't that much of a slide, so the rear tire should not be that hot. So he is going to go for this lap. Let's see if it's going to be a fast lap for him. So into turn one, you can really use that curve as well to your advantage. You can find a lot of grip there if you just arc the corner really tight. Of course, now he's in a DRS zone. It's a very short DRS zone. This is a downhill turn 3, a left-hander. It is such a difficult corner to get right. It doesn't matter how much you slow down. It seems like it just wants to make you take the corner wide. You can use a lot of curve there, though, in that uphill section. But if you use too much with a heavy load of fuel, then you're going to be off and into the runoff area, and you'll be lucky to just get a 3-second time penalty from that. And there's that chicane with those big sausage curves. Rogie Smith does a good job at avoiding it, but you got to also be careful to not go too wide and get into the grass. Otherwise, you're going to get some wheel spin, and you're going to be sliding around anyway. Of course, we talked about this fast section here. He is just barely clipping that corner anymore, and it could really turn the car around. Rogie Smith so far looking like he's very comfortable with this car, very comfortable with his setup. This is where he spun last time, though. Let's see if he makes the same mistake or if he's learned. Looks like he's learned this time, and he bypasses the pit entry, so he will set a lap. What's it going to be? Is he rounds turn 14? And it will be a 1:17.921 for Rogue Smithy. Luke Bailey in the Alfa Romeo. He's on a flying lap now. Let's see what he can do. It's going to be the second driver to set a lap time. Oh, no, the third driver, actually, because Timo, he goes quickest, a 1:16.217 in the Mercedes. Luke Bailey goes second quickest, a 1:16.758. Take a look at Stock C9 in the Williams, as now Morris goes quickest, a 1:15.389. So we got 15, 16, 17s on the board. Every lap time that you can think of. X Gamer going second quickest, a 1:15.459. Calvin Racing, a 1:16 flat. Third at the moment. Calvin's teammate of Max Cyrus. Or no, excuse me, Calvin's teammate of Stock C9, who we were watching before, but now Max Cyrus in the Red Bull, who is our second place points runner at the moment. He's on a flying lap, so I want to see what he's going to be able to do. Most of the drivers decided to go out on the soft tire, and realistically, what we're going to see here today is soft to medium strategies. The hard tire just really is not a viable option unless you've already had a catastrophic mistake, in which case, sure, you can pit and go onto the hard tire and try to make it to the end. But it's just not very fast, of course, as with nature of the hard tire. But I think the biggest question, at least in my mind and perhaps in everyone's mind, is can this man go 4 in a row today? He's won the past 3 races. If he wins today, it'll be 4 in a row. I don't know the last time that's happened in SFR, if it has ever happened in SFR. But Max Cyrus definitely has a chance to do that today. A lot more drivers getting lap times on the board. Trench in the Haas. He's got a lap time on the board. That's Carbon Rob's teammate. Carbon Rob, of course, your points leader, but Max Cyrus is the fastest qualifier, a 1:15.021 in the Red Bull. If you'd have told me at the beginning of the season that Max Cyrus would be contending for poles and wins, I truthfully would not have believed you. He had a very slow start to the season, but as I said, 3 wins in a row now. He has done an impressive job so far. Take a look at the boss man, Sonicog. He's already set a lap, a 1:16.993 on the medium tires. But it looks like Gadabo in the McLaren, he is going to set a lap time on that McLaren. He's on a flying lap. He has decided to go into the medium tires as well. So Gadabo rounds turn 14. And he crosses the line. He will go to 16th, a 1:18.022, but he is knocked down to 17th. Looks like Macaulay, he is set a 1:17.441, but he's already in the pits. Not sure who set the lap time just behind Gadabo. Morris and X Gamer going back out for their out laps. There is X Gamer in the Ferrari. X Gamer, he's really going to be looking for a good finish today. He has 1 podium on the season. That was the very first race. It was a second place finish, then 0 points the next race, 6 points the next race, and then 2 DNFs in a row. Actually, 4 DNFs and a DNS within the next 5 races after that. So X Gamer really needs to turn his luck around, and so far it looks like it's possible that that could happen today. Top 3 qualifying position potentially for the Ferrari driver. See where Morris is out on track. Is he any closer to Sector 3 than X Gamer is? No, we will ride on board with X Gamer. Here in fact, bear with me here just a moment. I have to invite my co-com into this session. A little bit of a late entry, but it is going to be Bossy, who is going to be our co-com for today for the GP2 series. Unless he's already joined, actually. Good evening, Bossy. I was just in the process of trying to get you an invite. Turns out that you already had one.
I'm already in the session, bro.
Well, that's good to hear. So far, Max Cyrus is on the pole by 0.3 of a second. Morris in second, X Gamer in third, who we are watching now. And you joined just in time, just under 10 minutes remaining.
Yeah. Today's going to be very exciting after last night's race.
I have not got a chance to watch last night's race. However, I do know who won, I do know who finished second, and I know who finished third.
Yep, that's a far Oliver winning the race. Kvyat the Torpedo in second, and me in third.
And that's your first podium on the season. I'm sure that you feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, wasn't expecting a podium at all after the end of that race.
Well, congratulations to you anyway. You did a fantastic job, I'm sure. I just really want to watch it as X Gamer goes to a 1:15.181.
Who's about to come across the line? Doxy across the line, 1 minute 16.1. Calvin jumps in, it looks like.
So taking a look at Mamba Strike, he is going out of turn 14 now. He is starting his flying lap. Mamba Strike so far, a 1:15.623 is his best lap time so far. Just behind our points leader of Carwin Robb, who I'm honestly surprised to see in 5th position earlier on in the season. Earlier in the season, he was just an incredible force to be reckoned with. Later on, it seems like he's starting to lose a little bit of speed.
Talking about Carwin Robb, he's 11 thousandths faster in his first sector.
Oh, and Mamba Strike 1000, he went very wide. So he is not going to get a fast lap this time. Let's take a look at Kara, your GP4 champion from last season. He is on a flying lap. Kara taking it very easy through turn 3. And using a lot of curb in the uphill section. Of course, Kara, he knows his way around this circuit. He knows the way around most of the circuits. As I said, he's our GP4 champion, and he jumped GP3 entirely to join GP2 this season, him alongside Sonic Hawk, who also made the jump. So good to have them here in this series with us. So far, they've put on quite an entertaining show, and we're almost halfway through the season, and that's an Alfa Romeo that is spun. Was that Luke Bailey? Or was that Crowhawk?
I'm not too sure, but talking about Kara, he's just gone purple second sector.
Can Kara get the pole from his teammate of Max Iris? As he rounds turn 14, he crosses that line. Does he do it? No, he goes to third, a 1:15.189.
There's a lot of competition out here on track. There's only less than a second separating the top 13 drivers.
Ferrari driver of BR CAC ZCN on a lap, but he is slowing down to let every other driver go, so he will not have a fast lap this time around. Morris, he is on an out lap. Where is he on track? Still in the first sector, just approaching the second sector it looks like, so we will turn back to him here in just a moment. As we go to take a look at Max Iris, who is on a flying lap now.
Will he improve, do you think?
I think he's going to improve, Bossy, honestly. I mean, Max Iris, he just seems like the class of the field today. If these lap times are anything to go by, it might be his race to lose. And I was just saying earlier before you got here that we could potentially be looking at a 4 wins in a row scenario for Max Iris, and I'm not sure when the last time that happened in SFR.
Purple second sector from Max Iris, 2 tenths faster. Will we see him in the 114s? Coming across to the line to set a 1 minute 14.821, which is your provisional pole lap session so far.
And you called it. He was in the 114s. Now X Gamer into turn number 1. Morris also on a lap. We'll try to bounce between the two of them. We watched X Gamer. Let's take a look at Morris. Morris, of course, last week was very disappointing for the Mercedes driver. It looked like he was on for a win, and if not a win, a very good result. But ultimately scored 0 points at the end of that race. So he is looking for a lot of redemption today. And so far running in 4th place in this qualifying session. Looking like he's on for at least a decent result. But you know that this man is not going to be happy with 4th or 3rd or 2nd. Only a win today is going to be acceptable in Morris's mind.
Does take a little bit of curb. Maybe, oh, and he invalidates. Invalidates starting third sector, which is not what he wants. How long's left in the session? 4 minutes and 25 seconds remaining. He's got time to set another lap. I don't think he's going to be happy.
No, he's not, but at least he does have time to set another lap. He invalidated right there at the pit entrance, so he's able to just go in there, get a fresh set of softs, and go back out for his final lap as we take a look at Macaulay in the Aston Martin. Currently, his best time is a 1:15.703, good enough for 8th. His teammate, Racing Upta, in 9th, just behind him with a 1:15.737.
Just a quick note, are the clouds gathering over the Hungaroring?
It looks like they might be, Bossy. I don't know the weather update for the race, but it does look like it's starting to get a little bit dreary here for the qualifying session, so maybe we could see some light sprinkles within the next 3.5 minutes.
Let's have a look.
Purple in the second sector for Macaulay. Let's see what he does in the third and final sector. Macaulay definitely going to be looking for a good result here today, and he might be able to get it, but let's see what his qualifying is as he crosses the line. It will be 6th quickest so far, a 1:15.527. Luke Bailey on a lap. And in the second sector, oh, he goes a little bit wide, does not invalidate though, so he is still good. He is still good as Crowhawk, his teammate, knocks him out of the top 10 with a 1:15.795. But will Luke Bailey improve his time over his teammate and get back into that top 10 starting spot?
Do you have to think though, is he wanting that top 10 starting spot? Having a look at yesterday's race, Oliver, with the quality ban on hards, started from P18, finishing first, so maybe the alternate strategy is what he goes for and what he wants.
And Luke Bailey does not improve his lap time, surprisingly, so he is going to be starting in 12th unless he can get out there for another lap, and with just over 2 minutes remaining, he does not have time to do that. Let's take a look at Carwin Robb, our points leader, the first time we've been able to take a look at him on track today, as he is on a flying lap. Currently his best time, a 1:15.5, good enough for 7th.
Is that little bits of rain I can see on screen?
I was just thinking the same thing, and I think you're right. It is just little bits of rain. It is sprinkling around here. The question is that going to affect Carwin Robb's lap time as we see another competitor get out of the way in order to let Carwin Robb continue his fast lap?
You can confirm light drizzle for the next 15 minutes.
He doesn't look like he's slipping and sliding yet, so he might have timed this lap perfectly right when the rains came. We do have a yellow flag in Sector 1 and 3, though.
Is he going to stick this on pole?
Maybe so. Let's see what he does. He's rounding turn 14 now. Carwin Robb could definitely use a good starting position here. As he crosses the line, he will go to 4th quickest, a 1:14.942.
Not bad from the Haas driver who's leading the championships at the minute.
Let's take a look at Mamba Strike again. He's on a flying lap.
An AlphaTauri that's gone off.
And Mamba Strike has invalidated his lap. Macaulay's retired from the session. And I think that it's just about going to be what you see is what you get. Maybe a few changes here and there, but we are getting to the very, very end of our qualifying session. Just over 20 seconds remaining. Let's look at Racing Upta. He is on a lap. This will be his final lap of this session, so he's going to have to be very careful not to invalidate. No pressure or anything. And I think that the rain is actually causing a little bit of problems for him. He's struggling a little bit to find grip, but he still might be able to get a decent lap in.
An unfortunate quali session for Trench. P14, however, the alternate strategy could work in his favour.
And Trench is somebody who seems to struggle in qualifying, but when it comes to the race, he's always going to be in the points at the end. So I'm going to keep my eye on Trench and see if he can come from the back to the front and maybe contend for a good finish. Who knows, maybe a win. We have seen that happen. And actually, we saw it happen yesterday, as you mentioned in GP3. Oliver starting in the very back of the grid and going all the way to the front to win his very first race in SFR.
Yesterday was a race. Oh, Crowhawk's gone.
So Crowhawk has spun, and I'm surprised to see him run 3 laps on those soft tires. But now the qualifying session is over. So what you saw is what you get. We'll give you a rundown here in just a moment. Beautiful colors on Crowhawk's helmet, though. I will say that much.
It's what, icy blue with a magenta-y purple pink?
Looks to be. Here are your official starting lineup for the GP2 Series Hungarian Grand Prix. Max Iris on the pole. X-Gamer in second. Third is Morris. Fourth is Carbon Rob. Fifth is Kara. Then Brack in 6th, Macaulay in 7th, 8th is Timo, 9th is Mamba Strike 1000, racing up to in 10th, Stocksy 9 and 11th, Crowhawk in 12th, 13th is Luke Bailey, Trench in 14th, 15th is Cassidy, Calvin Racing in 16th, 17th Chain Game Wow, Rogue Smithy in 18th, 19th is the Boss Man of Sonicock and Gadabo in the 20th position. A full grid today for the GP2 Series, and what an exciting race it is going to be, Bossy. And with that in mind, it is now time to choose our top 3, and oh my goodness, it is a downpour at the Hungaro Ring.
The pit lane is flooded. And simply to put it, there is puddles upon puddles upon puddles of water.
We'd like to take this time to announce that the GP2 Formula 1 race today has been changed to a boat race due to the torrential downpour at the Hungaro Ring.
Hopefully we don't have a lot of aquaplaning. Hopefully there isn't a Mercedes that careers into a bunch of cars heading into turn 1 and takes out a few drivers. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
I'm trying to think of what you're referencing.
Hungarian Grand Prix that's just gone past, Valtteri Bottas.
I think I was asleep for that one, Bossy.
Esteban Ocon won.
Yep, I was definitely asleep for that one. Picked a bad one to sleep through, but I was asleep.
After this race, you have to go watch that race. Esteban Ocon and the Alpine won, somehow.
To be fair, I did have it on while I was sleeping. I just couldn't actually make myself stay awake. It was one of those nights to where I got home really late after working and just, quite frankly, could not stay awake.
Well, top 3 drivers, what are we thinking?
Yes, top 3 drivers. Honestly, the rain kind of threw my predictions out the window. I was going to say that I think that Max Iris could be one of the top 3 drivers, but I'm starting to think, I don't know, maybe that's not quite the case. We saw a lot of drivers that we expected to be fast, be slow in qualifying, and I think it might be because they changed their setup. So, I'm going to go in any order: Trench, Calvin, and Carwin Robb.
I'm going to go Karen Robb, Max Iris, and Kara in any order.
Well, we're about to find out at the end of 35 laps around the Hungaro Ring. Not sure if the rain is expected to stop at any time today, but all I know is that we are going to have a very wet start.
What I can tell you is that it looks like an AlphaTauri and the McLaren's gone round on the formation lap.
Wonder if that is foreshadowing of things to come, Bossy.
Maybe. Hungary is such a treacherous track without the rain. Adding rain just makes it worse.
So the drivers rounding turn 14, about to park on the front stretch, find their appropriate positions on the grid, and pray that they don't suffer from wheel spin in this absolute downpour of a race that we are about to run.
The drivers are going to need all the luck they can get to make this first lap as comfortable as possible.
So we got the Welsh Wonder in the chat saying that he believes Carmen Robb's going to go on for the win. Hashtag Wells till I die. He's very proud of where he's from. And it sounds like he is very enthusiastic about the GP2 race today. And here we go. You hear those engines revving. You hear those edgy pedal feet. The drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the SFR GP2 Series Hungarian Grand Prix as X-Gamer gets a drive-through penalty for a jump start, but he will lead him down to turn number 1 regardless. Max Iris loses the lead due to that, so he is in second. Carbon Rob in third. One of the cars at the back of the grid just simply did not go. Not sure who that was, but Carbon Rob trying to go into the outside, but he goes very wide out of turn number 1, and he is still somehow able to stay into the third position. Car just behind him. He's in a battle with Macaulay, who's moved up into the 5th position, and it's 2 Mercedes of Morris and Timo, who is in 6th and 7th place. Mamba Strike behind him, and it's 3 wide out of turn number 3 in the rain. And now we got a car spinning. Who is that?
Cassidy. That's Cassidy in the Alpine. Cassidy spun.
Cassidy spinning the Alpine, so he is back to the back of the grid still. We are going strong. Under green conditions in an absolute wet weather race at the Hungaroring. Mamba Strike, we're riding on board with him as we watch Timo up there in the Mercedes try to get around Macaulay in the Aston Martin, but they are going to follow in a line and just ride from there. Looks like everything's calmed down. X-Gamer is your leader, but he will at some point have to serve that drive-through penalty. So Max Iris will likely take over the lead here very shortly.
Shane Gamewell got an awful start. I think he was 2 seconds delayed as there's a yellow flag, and that's Trench. Trench is round. VSC has been deployed.
Now, is that for Trench? Because he is actually still in the race, so he's not DNF from the race.
No, but he is sideways on track at the minute.
That he is. Watching Trench right now, trying to get that car back under control. I think that he has now finally got the car back. Hopefully the tires aren't too hot and they will cool quickly so that he can make these corners. Maybe we'll see him pit for another fresh of wet tires. I mean, at this point, you might as well.
This may turn into a safety car, possibly. Maybe not. No, green flag.
So Max Iris still in second place and trying to chase down X-Gamer, but he knows that he doesn't really have to put a lot of effort into it because Max Iris does have that, or X-Gamer has that drive-through, excuse me. Colin Robb, though, he is on the back of Max Iris. He knows that that is his closest competitor right now in the championship standings, and he wants to put all the pressure on him that he can. He knows that championships are not won in one race. They are won throughout the course of the season, and a bad race here in Hungary could come back to bite either one of them.
So far, these drivers have kept it moderately clean throughout the first 2 laps of this race. Carl and Rob, as per usual, sticking to what he knows best and is now up into P3. X-Gamer with an unfortunate drive-through, which I'm presuming he'll serve this lap. If he doesn't, then he's got to be careful because we have had an incident in GP4 in Britain and in Hungary where if you don't serve the drive-through penalty within a few laps, the game automatically disqualifies you.
Yeah, so X-Gamer's going to have to start to be thinking about that. He actually is just on a run of 5 races in a row where he either DNF'd or did not start. He needs to finish today just to prove to himself that he can, but more importantly, he needs points as well. Carbon Romps is the fastest lap, a 134, but now Mamba Strike 1000, a 133. Mamba Strike moving up in the 5th place, and now he is challenging Macaulay for the 4th position. Macaulay looks like he's on the run of his life at the moment.
Mamba Strike on the back of that Aston Martin of Macaulay. As they make contact, and Macaulay drifting, it's Tokyo drifting. We've got a new episode of Fast and Furious in Hungary.
It looked like Mamba Strike just absolutely moved Macaulay out of the way. He did not get into the back of him intentionally at first, but then after that, it's like he just couldn't help but hit him.
When push comes to shove, move the Aston Martin out of the way.
I always love it when I see a bump and run here in these races because, you know, traditionally and in real life Formula 1, there's no way that that would work without any wing damage. But here in esports, thankfully, we can at least have a little bit of leeway to do that stuff. And it's fun because no one gets wrecked, no one is put into the wall, their race isn't ruined, and it just kind of gives me a little bit of familiarity of stuff that I'm used to seeing.
Mercedes of Timo Gertz almost lost it heading into turns, I want to say 9, turn 10.
So Macaulay, I just said he was on the run of his life. Looks like he might be going the wrong way now. And Timo gets very close to having contact with the back of the Aston Martin. Oh, and Macaulay spins! He spins! Oh, and he keeps it out of the wall, but does he have wing damage?
I don't think he does. I think he is suffering from some sort of damage, maybe whether that be floor, whether that be side pod. But he is struggling.
So Macaulay's teammate has now passed him on track, and correct me if I'm wrong, racing up to this is his debut GP2 race.
Who's this for, Macaulay or Mamba?
Racing up to.
Oh, racing up to. I think so. Is there someone's gone round? It's Stocksy. Stoksy's round.
There you see Stocksy9 just trying to get the car corrected. He's not going to lose a lot of spots, but he is back to 12th, 13th, maybe 14th if the Ferrari of X-Gamer gets by him. X-Gamer trying to rebound. Oh, and X-Gamer gets into the back of Gadabo, the McLaren, but they both make the corner very nicely. Good job there. We're right on board with X-Gamers. He's trying to get around Stocksy9. He's looking on the outside, but he thinks better of it. Now he's looking on the inside. Again, thinks better of it. Just simply cannot make those moves, and he knows that you can't, but he wanted to be there just in case something happened with Stocksy.
Yeah, the Mercedes of Timo Gertz is now catching the back of Mamba. Mamba seems to be struggling a little bit.
So we're seeing a lot of short-run cars and long-run cars already in this GP2 Series Hungarian Grand Prix. Lap 4 of 35 so far. Max Iris, Carwin, Rob, and Kara, your top 3, with Mamba Strike and Timo, your top 5. Morris racing up to Macaulay, Bracken, Chain Game Wow, your top 10.
There's another yellow flag. It looks to be for Williams. I think it might have been for the Williams of Stocksy. I think Stocksy's gone again. I don't know if he has some sort of side pod damage or floor damage.
Looked like Timo had a moment where he was just about thinking about getting underneath of Mamba Strike. Oh, when he gets to the back of him!
A little bit of argy-bargy, but nothing that I don't think is not acceptable.
Personally, Bossy, I'm absolutely loving it. It's just these tiny little bumps. I mean, if there are any NASCAR fans that are watching this stream, that you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say bump and run. It's just not something that I ever expect to see in SFR, but sure enough, we've seen a couple of them already today. Now, granted, that's because it's wet. These drivers are having a very difficult time getting these cars slowed down.
So X-Gamer's lost 12 positions in total. Godobo's made up 8. Chaingate, both Alpha Tauris, there's a yellow flag and someone's out. Stocksy's out.
Oh, I wonder what happened to Stocksy9, and we have a safety car.
Safety car has been deployed.
So now, drivers that have had trouble early, like X-Gamer, Cassidy, Trench, they are now pretty much back in this race.
Sonic is on inters. Is this a good call? Is this a bad call from Sonic, do you think? He's on inters.
I really don't know. You gotta wonder, I mean, did Jeff just make a mistake there, as he always does, or did Sonic Hawk make that decision himself? If Sonic made that decision himself, then there's gonna be a reason. He is a smart man, so he would not go on inters.
Luke Bailey with a drive-through penalty.
Oh, that's for speeding under the safety car. That is unfortunate for Luke Bailey.
Is now the tire of choice. Mamba's in for inters. Timo Gertz is in for inters.
To answer your question, Bossy, I think it might be a good move for Sonic Hawk. If everyone else is doing it, I'm just going to listen to them.
The only thing not in Sonic's favour is he is about 20 seconds behind the pack that are pitting.
So, a few drivers still a little timid to go on the intermediate tires. Looks like something's happened to Macaulay, though. He can't get into his car at the moment.
I'm going to try sending a few invites. Hopefully we can get him back into the session and help him out.
So there you see Macaulay's car. He is not actually in control of the car at the moment. Hopefully we can get him back in before the safety car is lifted. Otherwise he'll lose even more spots. It is a little bit of insurance, though, that the AI will take over your car if you somehow get disconnected from the session. And Crowhawk's retired from the session. What happened to Crowhawk?
Not too sure, but we're on board with Rogues at the minute, seeing if we can see any damage.
So Rogue Smithy, oh, Crowhawk, he just wrecked right out of that corner, must have hit the wall, and the wheel came off, and his day was done.
is unfortunate for Crowhawk. I think that's another retirement for the Alpha Tower, not for the Alpha Tower, for the Alpha Romeo.
And that is such a shame for Crowhawk. Looking at the point standings right now, and Crowhawk, he actually does not have any points at all. He only has finished one race this season.
Loads of cars are in, loads of cars are in.
So Carbon Rob goes in, Max Iris goes in. Pretty much everyone is going to go in, as you said.
Is Mamba going to be Mamba's in second?
He might be. He might inherit the lead. No, actually, Kara inherited the lead because he stayed out on the wet tires.
Oh, was it a bad call for the guys to stay out on the wets? Luke Bailey now leaves us. Luke Bailey's out. Both Alpha Romeos are out.
What's happened to Luke Bailey now?
I am not too sure, but that is now both Alpha Romeos out of the session.
So Luke Bailey, Crowhawk, Stocksy 9, your 3 retirements so far after 7 laps around the Hungaroring, and every one of them have been run under the wet weather conditions. We started on a full set of wet tires, and now everyone except Kara is on the wet tires, and it's looking like the intermediates are the way to go. So Kara's likely going to get swallowed, but if for some reason the intermediates are not the right call, then Kara could be a hero in just a matter of a lap or 2. However, I don't see that happening.
The only thing I'm concerned about is at the minute is the puddles that have formed on track. Will the intermediates be able to cope with the puddles, or will we see a little bit of sliding? We'll go back aquaplaning.
Guess we'll have to find out. It looks like the rain has let up a little bit from when we started the race, so that does bode well in those guys' favor that are on the intermediates. However, they do have a little bit of insurance to fall back on because literally everyone made that call except for Kara. So even if it is the wrong call, at least pretty much everyone made the wrong call instead of just you making the wrong call. Of course,
now here's a thought. Before Luke Bailey crashed out the session, he was given a drive-through penalty.
Yes, and that was for speeding under the safety car. That was right after the safety car came out, actually. Not sure if he didn't realize that the safety car had been deployed or what happened there.
So the safety car is rough around this track. It will catch you out when you're least expecting it.
So the safety car is going to stay out for at least one more lap, as you can see. You are looking at Mamba Strike, who might be able to take the lead when that safety car pulls in if Kara has made the wrong choice to stay out on the full wet tires. But he is pretty much committed now. He might as well just stay out there in front and see what happens. The worst thing that can happen is he has to pit immediately.
And then he will be 20 seconds behind the pack of cars, and I don't think that's what he wants.
No, definitely not. But regardless, I think that we're going to see him in 17th position within the next 2 laps.
Well, Kara last season started from the back of the grid and worked his way up to, I think, 7th or 8th. So Hungary is his track, I think.
And you know, I don't know what his car's doing, so it could be the right call. Now, I don't think it's the right call because, you know, it is an overwhelming majority that is went on to the intermediate tires, and the rain is letting up. But, as I've said, assuming that I'm wrong and that it is the right call to stay out on full wets, then Car's going to look like a hero here in a minute.
And will do indeed, but how long do we think the conditions will take to dry up, if they do dry up, and for them to be on softs, as there is a lot of spray coming off the back of Kara?
That honestly depends on how much the rain is going to be falling and for how long. And
50 cars in this lap.
as commentators, I wish that we had direct access to view the weather reports. That would be so helpful for us because then we could try to figure out, you know, how long until the rain lets up or how long until the rain shows up in some cases.
So, speaking of which, safety car is in this lap. Will Kara go early or will he go late?
Well, we're going to ride on board with Mamba Strike and take a look at just that. And it looks like Kara might have went ahead and decided to go. So here we go. Let's see. Are the full wets the option or are the intermediates going to be king? We are back under green at the Hungaroring for the SFR GP2 series. And so far, it looks like Kara at least has some decent pace on those full wets. But let's see how he does in the corners. Mamba Strike having a tight battle with Timo. Timo really close to the back of Mamba Strike, and it looks like they are starting to gain on that Red Bull now, but not by a significant margin. I anticipated Kara to really get swallowed, so maybe these full wet tires were the way to go. But regardless, if the rain is going to let up, he is going to have to pit for intermediates at some point during this race. So regardless, he is going to have a lot of drivers jump him as Timo is trying to look underneath of Mamba Strike out of the uphill left-hander.
There's a large battle at the back of the pack. But looking at Mamba and Kara.
Yeah, Mamba's trying to go around him. Oh, contact!
Contact. Kara and Rob trying to take the Timo Gertz.
Oh, and Mamba gets into the back of Kara. Now Mamba going around the outside of Kara. I think that pretty much answers the question. What tire was preferred? It is going to be the intermediates because the full wets are now out the window. Timo takes the lead. Kara and Rob in second, and Mamba Strike in third. Rogue Smithy, who was running in, 18th position 3 laps ago, is now in 4th position.
Oh, and someone's gone round. Is that Max Norris? No, but there is a Ferrari that is also Tokyo drifting. That's the Aston Martin who's racing up to. And there's Sonic's installed. Sonic is in the wall.
Oh, and Sonic Hawk, he's still trying to get the car turned around. He is all the way back in the 17th position. A few drivers moving up. Kara has pitted. He's going to pit for the intermediate tires. I guess it was worth a try, but it certainly did not work for Kara. To be fair, though, he did have pace for the entire first sector, so it at least worked through the first sector.
He was able to do 1 lap on those wet before it became too much for the tyres. Cassidy and Macaulay are fighting, it looks like.
So there you see Timo, Kara, and Rob getting very close. We'll go back and take a look at Cassidy and Macaulay here in just a moment's time. But Kara and Rob is getting ever so much closer to that Mercedes.
I don't think Macaulay's back in the session, so I think his car is still under AI. But X-Gamer and Rogue Smithy.
So Gadabo now passing Macaulay and now racing up to trying to get around his teammate of Macaulay. And like you said, Macaulay still does not have control of that car, unfortunately, so he is going to continue to drop.
X-Gamer around the outside of Road.
And X-Gamer on the inside of him now. Maybe a little bit of contact with the AlphaTauri, but X-Gamer takes the 4th position from Rogue Smithy. And now Chain Game Wow trying to make an overtake on his teammate. But now he's got to worry about the Mercedes of Morris just behind him. So X-Gamer, who started in, 2nd or 3rd, got a drive-through penalty because he jump-started. Had to make a drive-through. He now finds his way back into 4th as, wow, Rogue Smithy really threw a hard block on his teammate down the front straightaway.
So both AlphaTauris are fighting, so there's no team orders as Chain Game Wow tries to go around the outside of his teammate.
Definitely no team orders. They're not just fighting, they're making a little bit of contact too. And this is a hard-fought battle. Wow, and Chain Game Wow actually moving Rogue Smithy off of into the grass a little bit there.
Or he knocked him, might have had a half spin as he loses a few positions.
So it looks like Chain Game Wow is the faster AlphaTauri at the moment.
Yellow flag, something's happened.
Looks like it's all green now. Not sure what has happened, but it is under control. Looks like Calvin Racing is starting to make a move on Max Iris, though. He is right on the back of it.
Tim's off. Tim's off.
Oh, no, he was the leader. Timo, he inherited the lead, and now he's off. And, well, he's in second at least, but now he's 1.4 seconds behind Carl and Rob, and that's a dangerous place to be in.
I do not know what happened. He just was going straight and didn't turn.
Could he have just get caught into a puddle, Bossy, like you were saying?
Maybe.
Oh my goodness, and Trench is just spun off. All on his own, he just spins right around. Ironically, as his teammate takes the fastest lap of the race.
The RT Trench isn't getting the best start he would have hoped for, but maybe that yellow flag in Sector 2 was for Timo. Because it looks like he's now suffering. Mamba's now catching him about a 10th, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths a lap.
And Morris, he thought about making a move around Rogue Smithy just as I was trying to take a look at Mamba Strike. Mamba Strike 1.3 seconds behind Timo, but Morris, he is right on the back of Rogue Smithy, who has now lost 3.2 seconds to his teammate. and that is Bracken and then Ferrari trying to, well, he thought about making a move around Morris, but there was nothing really to go for that, so he just backed out of it, fall back in line. He's running in the 8th position at the moment. And I think that he is another one of our newcomers.
So as Rhodes, he gets 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, which I'm presuming will be tracked away. SFR Morris needs to get past Rhodes this lap, don't you think?
I completely agree, as it looks like Chain Game Wow has, or no, that is Rogue Smithy that's picked up a time penalty. My apologies. But yes, Morris, he definitely needs to get around Rogue Smithy and needs to do it now. Morris is definitely faster, but Smithy, it seems like something's wrong with his car, handling-wise, to where he just can't quite make the corners the way he needs to, so he's making that car very wide. But if Morris can get a good run down this straightaway, then he can get around the AlphaTauri, and I think he's going to be able to do that. The AlphaTauri tries to protect the bottom, but ultimately there's nowhere to go, and you can get a good run on the outside around turn 1 here. Oh, but Morris really pinches him down, and Rogue Smithy will not let him go. So Morris now loses a spot to the Ferrari, so he's going to be in a tight battle to try to get that position back. Now the Ferrari of Bracken trying to go around Rogue Smithy, but not able to do it. And Smithy, he's doing good at defending, I'll give him that.
He is indeed, as he has the Ferrari, that they just make a little bit of contact.
Now, I do wonder, though, how long is it going to be until he picks up another time penalty? We saw him go wide there. I'd almost guarantee he got a warning, judging from my own experience around this race course this week.
Let me have a look into the FIA's office, race directory.
Oh, and Sonacock is retired from the session, and now it is a safety car. So he must have wrecked out.
I think he just caught the curb coming in 3/10, 4/10, 5. Around that hairpin. And just lost it into the barrier.
And that's such a shame for Sonacock. Last season in GP4, it looked like early on he was going to be a real threat for the championship. He wasn't able to make all the races, so he lost that chance, and then he jumped to GP2, and he just hasn't quite been able to put a good season together since.
Look, he's just put in the chat, Calvin sandbagging as usual.
Calvin in P10 at the moment in that Williams car. Just behind Max Iris, who is your second place in points.
Farah's going to be loving life on 2-lap old intermediate behind the back of the grid.
That he is. So Kara, at least something happened in his favor this time around. After making a bad call, staying out on the full wets, having slightly fresher intermediate tires might give him a small advantage over the rest of the guys.
Maybe so. I know GP4 was a wet race, and I'm not too sure how that went.
I didn't get a chance to watch any GP4.
You were too busy in GP5.
Mm-hmm.
How was your GP5 race while we're under safety car?
Well, under the safety car, it was pretty good because I was able to calm down. During the race, it was mainly just trying to focus on getting points, and I could have had a 5th place finish, tying my best result, but I pushed a little too hard trying to pass the competitor ahead of me to get even more, and I spun out of the penultimate corner, was still able to rebound and get a 6th place finish, but unfortunately missed out on that top 5 by, I think, a couple of tenths.
Contact. SFR Morris and GMX Arias have a 5-second time penalty for colliding into each other.
So that happened right in front of Calvin. I was watching Calvin. Unfortunately, did not see Max Iris, and that's an unfortunate time penalty when that happens. And I wish that there was a way that we could.
Contacts. Whoa, both AlphaTauri boys.
Oh my goodness! So the AlphaTauri's going at it again. I mean, you said it, Bossy. There was definitely no team orders there.
No, whoa. I almost watched an AlphaTauri take out an AlphaTauri. Now that would have been one after the race to watch.
So Max Iris decided to pit. Not sure exactly why. I guess
maybe both Red Bulls can help each other.
Maybe so. Max Iris, he already had the time penalty, so I guess he might as well. But I don't think that the 5 seconds is something that you can serve, is it? I guess we'll find out.
You can serve the 5-second time penalty in the pit lane.
Okay, so maybe that is why Max Iris decided to pit, is to serve that penalty now so that he doesn't have to serve it under a green flag condition. And you are correct, he has served that time penalty, and he will be able to maybe help his teammate of Kara. So you were talking about Kara having slightly fresher intermediate tires. What about Max Iris having fresher intermediate tires?
I'm looking at quality. Max Iris was faster than Kara, so maybe they're planning an attack maybe. Kara's going to not barge his way through the field, but fight his way through the field. Max Iris is just going to be able to follow him. Then eventually Kara will give up the position to Max Iris and Red Bull 1-2.
Well, what they got to do is they just have to attach the two cars to one another and then just sail right through the field.
And the last time I saw two cars attached to one another was Italy.
Oh boy. So I'm anticipating the safety car might come in this lap. Of course we will. Oh, well, there you go. Yep. Safety car coming in this lap.
Speaking of which, the safety car is in this lap, the bright red Mercedes AMG.
So let's take a look from Timo's perspective, actually no, Mamba's perspective once again, how this is going to go. We saw Timo.
A great race.
I think it has been a great race so far. We saw Timo have a nice bit of pace after the last safety car restart. Of course, after he had a little bit of a spin, Carmen Robb got around him, but here we go. Mamba trying to take advantage and get around on the inside, but had a bad start. Chain Game Wow moves up to third, and Timo is on the back of Carmen Robb as they race down into turn number one. A lot of jostling around for positions behind him as the Ferrari of X Gamer moves into third place now. Timo still locked onto the back of Carmen Robb in that Haas. Chain Game Wow goes back around the outside to take third place from X Gamer. So it's X Gamer versus Chain Game Wow for that final podium position, and we're not even at the halfway point of the race yet.
No, we are not. Halfway point will be as 3 seconds time penalty for racing up, so track limits. Penalties are going to start rolling in any minute soon. Chain Game Wow, who started, I believe, 16th. Yes, no, he started 17th, is now made up 14 positions. Godabo MP6 started at the back of the grid, he's now made up 14 positions.
Oh, and Godabo spun. Godabo, I think he spun. He clipped the curb and he spun off the track, so he is dropping back down to 16th place now. Mamba Strike, the highest running McLaren, now in the 5th position.
Mamba, who's made up 4 positions already in this race. Calvin behind him, who's made up 10, and Rogue Schmitty, who's made up 11. We'll see them fighting in a minute. There's going to be a heavy fighting between the top 3 drivers. Chain Game Wow's going for this podium, it looks like.
And I think something might have happened to Racing Upta. He lost a lot of spots there. Now he's having a fight with Kara, who has made his way up into the 11th, and Kara trying to go around the outside of Racing Upta, but Racing Upta is having none of it.
Cassidy comes into the pits, possibly for a new set of inters.
So Racing Upta locking to the back of that Red Bull, trying to get it back around of Kara, and he's going to go for the lunge on the inside line, and he stays off the Red Bull, but cannot make that move. Max Iris, though, he might be taking advantage of this and getting around that Aston Martin sooner rather than later. Remember, he's got fresher tires. He goes for the lunge in turn 3, and there's contact between the two Red Bull and Aston Martin cars. Racing Upta. Oh, that was such a close call, but I think that they did not make any contact. Racing Upta still holds on to the 11th position. Max Iris decided to let him go and thinks about making a lunge later on in the race, just not right now. And let's take a look at Trench, actually. Trench, he actually spun early in the race, very early in the race. Saw him demoted all the way to the 20th position. He has rebounded to 8th so far, and with no time penalties. And he's in a fierce battle with the Mercedes of SFR Morris at the moment.
That is currently the closest battle on track other than Mamba and X Gamer. X Gamer looking like he's struggling a little bit.
Of course, Trench, he is in a battle not just for his own points, but for the constructor standings.
Rogue is round. No, he's not. But he is Tokyo drifting round.
So Rogue Smithy having a little bit of a moment there, so that allows Trench to actually catch him. And now Moore's going around the inside. Moore's trying to thread the needle there, not able to do anything with it. Trench looking on the outside of Rogue Smithy. Is he going to be able to do it, or is he going to do a crossover move? He tries that crossover move, and I think he might be able to get it done. Trench passes Rogue Smithy, but not without some contact, and he hasn't even passed him yet. Still a side-by-side battle. Rogue Smithy defending very nicely against Trench, maybe forcing him a little bit too wide, but Trench ultimately has the preferred line through that corner, but still cannot get around that AlphaTauri.
Yeah. A little bit more track limits from Rogue. Maybe he should have given position back to Trench as he did make the overtake around the outside.
Maybe, maybe not. It's a close call. I mean, they had a little bit of a argy-bargy moment there going into turn 3. But beyond that, it was mostly a clean battle. But the biggest downfall that Rogue Smithy is facing right now is the fact that he just cannot get that car to exit these corners. He goes so wide on the corners, and I can only assume that that's something to do with handling. So if he could get the handling in that car right, then he could really have some nice battles.
Maybe.
Carvin Robb at 128.1, the fastest lap of the session.
The main battle at the minute is for this P7 position, and it goes all the way back up to P12. There's 6 drivers, competing. Trench gets a whole exit coming out turn 13.
So you see the 2 Red Bulls of Kara and Max Iris down there, racing up to in between them. You're watching Morris at the moment, and Trench is ahead of him, trying to get by Rogue Smithy, but can't seem to do it. It is the Rogue Smithy train here at the Hungaroring, and I'm honestly surprised that no one's been able to get around it.
I think in the wet, when you're defending like Fernando Alonso, it's very difficult.
Now, Bossy, I don't actually know how Fernando Alonso defends. This is the first season I've been able to watch that he is raced in, since he technically retired at the end of the 2018 season, but then he came back.
Oh, ironically, all you got to do is watch the Hungarian Grand Prix that's just happened, and you will see all of it.
Oh boy, okay.
Hamilton was complaining on the radio to his team that Fernando... Oh
my goodness, and Rogue Smithy is spun! So that's how Trench is going to be able to get around Rogue Smithy. Rogue Smithy drops all the way back to 13th, and he's going to lose even more spots because he is going to have to pit for a new front wing. And I saw all of that, Bossy. He just got a little bit loose, and he overcorrected the car and sent it straight into the wall. Just nothing he could have done after that. He was along for the ride.
Well, Trench has now a little bit of free space to start catching back up to Calvin, and Morris is gaining on Trench.
I personally do not see Trench catching Calvin if this race stays under the wet conditions. It's really going to have to be a safety car to get Trench back up there and in contention.
Morris has touched the wall.
Morris going to be losing a lot of spots now. He's lost 1, maybe 2 to racing up to goes around him. And now is the Red Bull and Max Iris going to go around Morris. Some contact there between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. What is this, real life or is this SFR? I guess it's both. And there goes Max Iris around Morris into the 10th position. So Morris, he definitely has got some damage. I can't see any visible damage on his front wing, but that doesn't mean it's not there.
An unfortunate incident for Morris. Hopefully he can rebound off this and continue fighting. X Game is catching onto the back of Chain Game Wow.
There you see X Gamer, a fantastic rebound after a drive-through penalty earlier on in the race. It's lap 20 of 35, 15 laps to go in this race for the GP2 series. Carvin Robb is still in the lead, 2.8 seconds ahead of Timo. And that is 1.1 seconds ahead of Chain Game Wow in third, that Mercedes is. But Chain Game Wow, he has got a time penalty that is 3 seconds for multiple warnings. So if the race were to end right now, it would be X Gamer on the podium. And what a Cinderella story that would be for the Ferrari driver. As I just said, he is currently in a string of 5 races in a row where he either did not finish or did not start. He has only finished, I think, 1 race in the entire season. Let me double check my information here before I confirm that. But actually, he has finished a couple of races. He's got 1 podium, and then he got 6 points after that in Monza. He finished in Spain, no points in Spain, and then after Monza, or excuse me, Monaco, he started his 5-race streak of a DNF or DNS. So today, if he's able to keep it on track, he won't only finish the race, he'll score a nice haul of points, but we have a safety car. What has happened?
Oh, someone we need to know.
Rogue Smithy,
There's drivers
maybe?
on softs. I mean, there's drivers on mediums. There are drivers on mediums. What has happened?
That's one thing that I was just noticing, is that Morris and Rogue Smithy are both on the medium tire, and it's not only still wet out there on the track, I think it might still be a very light drizzle. I could be very much mistaken, but it looks like it's incredibly light.
I don't think there's any drizzle. I think it's just a spray coming off the back of the cars. As everyone's now in.
It looks like medium tires are going to be the way to go. And that's definitely the right call. Soft tires, they would just eat away before you got to the end. Soft tires, they won't even last 10 laps around here. I think the most I was able to do is 7 laps on the soft tires.
Has Cara and Max Iris made another bad call? Trench is on softs for some reason. Whether he can make the 13-lap sprint.
To be fair, we are at the end of the race, so the cars do have less fuel than they did at the beginning. So it gives them a little bit more of a chance to make that 13 laps. But as I just said, I only got them to last 7 laps. So that's almost double what I had to run on the soft tires.
We've also got to think, because it's wet weather, they're going to be degrading a lot faster than usual as Morris is back in for some reason.
And Cassidy's went on the soft tire as well. So it is a absolute Christmas tree over here on the leaderboard. We've got intermediate tires, medium, softs.
I think it might be a bad call as we see Rogue, who's just hitted the lap before, for medium tyres, is back in with no front wing.
Well, if it's a bad call, then our points leader is going to get caught out, and not in a good way. Carwin Robbie's in 3rd at the moment, behind X Gamer and Calvin Racing. And he's on those medium tires, and so far it looks like he's making them work. But you got to think, is this track going to be able to dry up by the time we go back green?
Calvin's in. Racing up to Zin. Cara's staying out again. Max Iris is in. Jane Gamewell's in.
This has really been a difficult call. So Carmen Robb inherits the lead. Cara in 2nd place. So Carmen Robb on the medium tires. Cara on the intermediate tires. And then Timo, Mamba Strike, X Gamer on the mediums. And then we have a few drivers on the softs. As I said, absolute Christmas tree for tire selection right now.
It is indeed all we're missing is the hards and the intermediates.
And Martin has actually made a good point that it might be too wet for the dry tires at the moment, but it's only going to be a bad call if the intermediate runners can pull a gap that's large enough to cover essentially a free pit stop before it does dry up. And I just don't see that happening. So really, no matter how you look at it, I don't think these drivers had a choice but to go on the dry tires when you look at it that way.
Well, Godobbo is now on fresh intermediates. So it's going to be interesting to see if intermediates or the dry tyres are better.
I kind of feel like this might be our own version of the Russian Grand Prix, just in reverse, where we're not sure exactly what tire we need to be on at this moment, and whoever nails the right call is going to absolutely prevail.
Well, the track has dried massively since the safety car first was out.
It really has. So it's looking like the dry tires are going to be what you need. And does the safety car come in this lap? I don't know if I saw that prompt, but Cara might want to think about pitting regardless. Oh, and he does. He does. So he's going to lose a lot of spots, but he's not. Oh, and he spins! He spins! He actually spun, entering the pit, so he's going to lose a lot.
He's disqualified.
Oh, yeah, and that was just wrong. That was wrong, and that's nothing that we can do to change. He spun, and the game, it looked like it automatically reset him to be in the pit lane. But because it reset him and he was stationary and Godaba was entering the pits, he was disqualified for quote-unquote blocking the pit lane, even though he did no such thing. Unfortunately, that is not a penalty that our stewards can remove. It is just something that we're going to have to, accept as reality, and it's got to hurt for Kara.
It's definitely going to be a pain that Kara doesn't want.
So I'd say that Kara is absolutely fuming. That is, honestly, just the best way I can call it is I would say it was BS, and that's how it is. But like I said, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing Kara can do. There's nothing anyone can do. It is just an unfortunate set of circumstances that happened for Kara.
For some reason, I have a small feeling that the safety car is going to be in this lap.
Feels like it's been out forever, so I think that you are right about that, Bossy.
Mambo, GP3 driver, who was able to score 4th last night, but maybe 3rd if he gets his penalty removed. Not too sure at this rate, as Kara has now left the session. Safety car is in this lap, I was right.
So the top 3 drivers on the mediums, then Trench on the softs, X-Gamer on the fresh set of mediums, and then Calvin racing up to Chain Game Wow, Max Iris, and Cassidy. A nice little diversified choice of medium and softs. That's your top 10 at the moment, but all drivers are on the dry weather tires, and as appropriate, as you can see, the track is pretty much completely dry as we are about to go back green. Lap 24 of 35, about to be lap 25 of 35 for the GP2 Series Hungarian Grand Prix. But will Timo have any more pace over Rob in the dry weather, or will Rob continue to dominate as he has done? Oh no! An X-Gamer! X-Gamer! We were just talking about how he needed to finish. But now look at Rogue Smithy. He's going around the outside of Morris. They're in a side-by-side battle. This is only for the 13th position, and Smithy is able to get around it, but then Morris does a crossover move. Morris is able to get the spot back, maybe, but then Smithy fights back hard on the inside and gets back around that Mercedes. That shows how much faster those soft tires are. But the question is, are they going to be able to last the distance and not be on absolute fire and screaming when the drivers cross the line to take the checkered flag?
We're about to find out, as Trench is now up into 3rd, his teammate Kyle and Robin 3rd, Timo, Mercedes in 2nd.
So riding on board with Trench, he has found his way into the 3rd position, and he might be challenging for the lead very shortly. He can see his teammate up there, but he's got to get around that Mercedes of Timo first. And it looks like he might have a good run down the straightaway. Out of turn 14, he was really able to get the power down, but Timo has got the slipstream on Rob, so we are just in a pretty much an aerodynamic train. Oh, and Timo has a moment into turn 1, and he opens the door for Trench to go around. And Trench underneath the Mercedes. It is a Haas 1-2 at the Hungaroring at the moment, lap 26 of 35. And now Trench has his sights set on his teammate. He is going to be faster than his teammate. It's soft tire versus medium tire. But which one is the preferred tire? Which one's the best choice to win this race? We're about to find out as 2 teammates are about to duke it out for the final 10 laps of the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Will Mamba be able to catch Timo? Timo's all over the place again. Mamba's going around the outside.
Oh, and Timo really forced that McLaren wide, but he's going to hold on to the 3rd position for now. Mamba Strike trying everything that he can to get into that podium position. Just behind him, though, Calvin on the softs. You got to be careful and watch out for him. We're going to ride on board with Calvin. He's got the best view of this battle, and I got a feeling that he's going to be the one that takes advantage of any mishap that they have.
Well, Mamba is back with Timo. Racing up to on the back of Calvin. It's going to be interesting to see what can happen. DRS should be enabled next lap.
Calvin got
DRS
a good...
is enabled this lap.
Calvin got a good run down the straightaway, but he wasn't able to do much with it. But he uses that inside curve for a lot of grip. Has a little bit of a moment on exit. Lost a little bit of time to Mamba Strike, but not enough. It's going to be too significant to hurt him. Just can't quite seem to get the speed to Mamba. And the longer that we run on these soft tires, Bossy, the more I'm realizing that the medium tires were definitely the way to go. And, you know, that's what you and I were both saying when the safety car first came out and the driver started pitting for the dry tires, is that the mediums are going to be the way to go simply because the softs will degrade too quickly. But I'm honestly surprised to see them degrading after only 3 or 4 laps, because Calvin is really struggling now to catch Mamba Strike. He's got a... That's an out. Is that an AlphaTauri off? I think it's Rogue Smithy. It is Rogue Smithy that was off the track, not having a good debut race for himself in the AlphaTauri today.
Not at all, as he's around again in Sector 2.
And now here comes Calvin. Calvin trying to get around Mamba Strike. He's looking underneath him, and he gets the move done, but he hasn't quite cleared him. Now he clears him right before they get to turn 1. Move Calvin up into the 4th position. His next victim, the Mercedes of Timo, if he can catch him. It looks like
Smithy's DNF'd.
And that is a shame for him. His first race today looked like he had a chance at the points, and now he finds himself DNF'd in the 15th position as you're watching TRT Trench try to get close to his teammate. It is a Haas 1-2 still, lap 28 of 35, and Trench is slowly but surely eating away at that 3/10 gap.
He is indeed. He's going to be wanting to get past his teammate so the medium runner of Timo doesn't catch up to him.
Looks like in Sector 1, Trench is a little bit faster than Carbon. Oh my goodness, and Trench spins! Trench clipped the curb and he spun! So it's not going to be a win for Trench today, and it's not going to be a Haas 1-2. Carwin Robb, he is still in the lead, 2.2 seconds ahead of Timo. Calvin Racing, he's in 3rd now. He got the podium pretty easily. Now all he has to do is hold on to it.
He does indeed, but will the soft tyres come to his downfall?
Well, Calvin, he is the very experienced racer in SFR. I believe that he might just be able to hang on long enough, but Mamba Strike has proven to be very fast around here today. Maybe not race-winning pace, but certainly podium-contending pace, as you can see him running in 4th now. And Chain Game Wow breathing down the back of him might motivate him to try to get around that Williams, but you got to remember, Chain Game Wow, he's got a set of time penalties too. 6 seconds to be exact, and racing up to behind him has 3 seconds.
Mamba almost loses it coming out of turn 4.
Let's just ride on board with Mamba for a little bit. It looked like he just about had a moment out of that corner there. A tiny little correction of the wheel, but overall a nice smooth transition.
More yellow flags as that is Morris who's round again.
Morris just simply not having a good race. Once again, another day where it seemed like he might at least be on for a points haul and finding himself out of the points.
Mamba right on the back of Calvin this time.
Oh, and Mamba
gets the back of Calvin.
He clipped the curb and he could not get the car slowed down. So he got into the back of Calvin, and now he's got a bit of his front wing off, so that is not going to do him any favors. Mamba Strike has to pit, and he's going to lose so much time to the guys ahead of him. He could have had a podium, now he doesn't.
He's got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
And Chain Game Wow makes the move around Calvin Racing into turn number 1. They make some contact, but Chain Game Wow has gotten around Calvin, and he's cleared him. Now he has to get 6 seconds ahead of him.
I don't think we're going to see that happening anytime soon.
Probably not. Probably not, but Chain Game Wow, he knows what he has to do. Now he just has to execute, and execute very well. Already, though, almost half a second. So at least Chain Game Wow has got some pace. I think, realistically, the only way we are going to see Chain Game Wow get 6 seconds ahead is if the soft tires are just that bad around here, which is very possible, honestly. We're already at 6 laps on the soft tires, and you can see Calvin losing ground to Chain Game Wow. So I think that it still might be a chance for Chain Game Wow to get this podium, as long as he doesn't pick up another time penalty. That is the key thing. He has a chance, a small chance, but a chance to walk away with a podium now. If he gets another set of time penalties, then he can kiss it goodbye.
The only thing we do have to mention is that if he was to finish the race now, he would be down in 11th. All these cars are now tightly packed as racing up to go around Calvin.
And a nice semi-smooth move from Racing Up to force the Williams wide a little bit. And there goes Max Iris around Calvin. He moves up into the 5th position, and now Calvin trying to get back underneath him. Can't do anything with it. Max Iris rebounding to a top 5 position. Maybe a top 5 finish at the end of this race.
Maybe P3.
Maybe so, who knows? Because Racing Up to, he's got a time penalty as well. He's got 3 seconds, while Chain Game Wow has 6 seconds. Chain Game Wow's podium depends entirely on him getting 6 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Trench could be on for 5th if he can keep the car on track.
And what an amazing result for Trench that would be. Just simply because he has not had the best of races. He starts it off with pretty much spinning off the track, and then it looked like he was able to contend for a win, only to make a mistake and spin. Pits for a... Actually, I don't know if he pitted or not. But regardless, he is on track. No, he did not pit. So he spun, did not pit, stayed on track, and now he's in 9th. And as you said, could possibly be going for, what was it, a top 5?
I think it's a top 5 unless he can keep up with the guys at front.
So let's watch Max Iris as he is trying to get around Racing Up to. I thought for a minute there was going to be some contact. Oh, and Max Iris, a little bit of a wiggle there. Does a great job of correcting it.
Having a look at penalties, Chain Game Wow is on 6 seconds, Racing Up is on 3 seconds, Cassidy 3, Godiva 3. The other Ferrari is on 3, and the Mambas on 5. Racing Up is now on 6 seconds.
So if the race were to end right now, the man on your screen, Max Iris, would get that 3rd and final podium position. But we still have 3 laps of racing remaining. Chain Game Wow has got 3 laps to try to pull anything out of the bag, and I just don't think that's going to happen. He's got out to about 1.5 seconds ahead of Racing Up to, so that is something, but it's not enough.
That might not be enough. Do we think Max Iris is going to get him on the next DRS straight?
I believe so. Max Iris, he is just too fast right now to not get that Aston Martin. And you got to think Racing Up to, there's really no reason why he should be fighting too hard at the moment against Max Iris, because he's just so fast. And you saw him there. He went to protect the inside line, but ultimately let Max Iris by if he was going to be able to get around him on the outside. So Max Iris moves into the 4th position, but by default, that is the 3rd position if this race ends right now.
Yes, he's indeed, but Cassidy is hammering the back of Calvin as we speak, so is Godiva on the back of Cassidy. Is Calvin starting to struggle?
Calvin's been struggling for a few laps, actually, Bossy. I've been watching him. He has just been dropping back slowly but surely.
Yellow flags. It's Godiva.
Oh, and that's a shame for Godiva. Every week it seems like he's close to points, and then something happens to him.
Unfortunate race for Godiva, but Max Iris is slowly catching the back of the Alpha Tauri. More yellow flags as Morris is now out of the session.
And that's, once again, a shame for Morris. It just seems that now that it's toward the end of the race, we're seeing a lot of problems from these drivers. They're making mistakes. They're going off the track and just DNFing. It's just been such an awful race for some guys. For some, it's been a brilliant race, and then others, it's been terrible.
Hungary has brought out the unexpected, let's say.
And next gamer going around Cassidy. That is for the 7th position, and he gets the move done. Cassidy can do nothing but let X Gamer go on ahead. X Gamer with no time penalties will be able to hold on to this 7th place position. However, after time penalties ahead of him, he might be able to jump a spot or 2.
And we are now on the penultimate lap.
Oh, and X Gamer went a little bit wide. He's got to be careful. I feel like that was definitely a warning, so he's going to have to be very careful to not pick up a time penalty. Otherwise, he's going to be losing some points.
Indeed, he's gone wide again.
Still no time penalty for X Gamer. He's going to have to be very, very careful. At this point, the best thing that he can do is just relax. I think he's going to catch Calvin and get around him regardless, because he's already right there on him. He just has to wait for that DRS zone.
He
gets into the back of him.
Just be a little bit patient. We can get him on the DRS rate.
Trying to go around the outside, can't do anything with it. Trying to find any way around that Williams. Just wait for the DRS zone, X-Gamer.
Oh no.
He refuses to. He refuses to, and honestly, I think that might cost him that spot. If he had waited for the DRS zone, then he would already be passing Calvin. But he lost so much speed that he can't do it, and he lunges anyway. He lunges anyway and goes underneath Calvin. It is contact, and X-Gamer still takes the spot from him. Calvin drops down to 7th, X-Gamer up to 6th, and now he sets his sight on racing up to as Calvin gets into the back of X-Gamer a little bit.
What a move by X-Gamer, straight down the inside. Big lunge, successful lunge. Now into P6, but will be P6 if he can keep within 3/10.
Oh, and X-Gamer went wide, so now Calvin is going to try to pass him in the chicane, and you just cannot put two cars there, but somehow they did it. Calvin does a crossover move to get around X-Gamer, and now he's back into the 6th position. X-Gamer goes wide again. Neither of these drivers are going to let up. Still some contact. Carwin Robbie's about to win the race. We'll turn to him here in a minute, but this battle for the mid-pack is just insane. X-Gamer goes wide once again, still does not pick up a time penalty. He's going to go for the lunge on Calvin. He goes on the outside line. Calvin has to let him go. Carwin Robb is coming around the final corner. He will win this race. Calvin racing in 6th place, and now he spins. He spins. Is that Calvin who was spun? Yes, it is. So X-Gamer gets around for 6th. Cassidy in 7th. Calvin is in 8th now, but he will at least jump Cassidy, maybe, except he spins once again and into the wall, and he gets caught by Trench once again, so Calvin might not even finish in the points. X-Gamer jumps up to 5th, Cassidy in 6th, Trench in 7th, racing up to in 8th, Bracken in 9th, Gadabo in 10th, because Calvin in 11th place after spinning twice on the last lap, went from 6th to 11th like that.
That was a crazy final lap.
Shane Gamewell, the driver of the day. I
agree?
I don't know. You're gonna have to ask me later, Bossy. I'm not even sure what happened. I'm still processing all of that. I'll put it to you this way. I don't even know who finished 2nd and 3rd because I was so focused on the battle for 6th. But here are your official results for the Speed Force Racing GP2 Series Hungarian Grand Prix. Carwin Robb in the Haas, another win on the season. Timo in 2nd, Max Iris in 3rd. It's not 4 wins in a row, but it is 4 podiums in a row. Chain Game Wow in 4th, X-Gamer in 5th, Cassidy in 6th, Trench in 7th. Racing up to in 8th, 9th is Bracken. Gadabo in 10th, 11th is Calvin Racing. 6th to 11th in 2 corners. Mamba Strike in 12th, 13th is Macaulay, 14th is Morris, Rogue Smithy in 15th, Kara in 16th, Sonicock in 17th, 18th is Luke Bailey, Crowhawk in 19th, and 20th is Stoxy 9. We'll talk to our top 3 finishers here in just a moment. Carwin Robb, Timo, and Max Iris.
I think Chain Gamewell will be our driver of the day. I think he was in 17th and made it up to, was it 5th, 6th? Something along the lines of that.
Yes, and honestly, he had a lot of pace today. I'm going to have to definitely give it to Chain Game Wow. Without that time penalty, he would have no doubt gotten onto the podium. So are you able to get our top 3 drivers in here?
I am trying to, but PlayStation doesn't want me to. Hey, I've got Carl and Robert as on my friends list, so I'll send him, I'll chuck him an invite.
Alrighty. Well, we will wait here just a moment for that.
Who else is it?
Carwin Robb, Timo, and Max Iris.
Don't think I have Timo added, I'll just double check.
So Carwin Robb is joined, just waiting on Timo and Max Iris if they want to join.
I don't think Max Iris will be joining us.
Hopefully we can at least talk to Timo, his very first podium, and I believe his very first race, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm just gonna see if I can add him and get him into here quickly.
Do we have Max Cyrus, or is it confirmed that he will not be able to join?
I believe it's confirmed that he is not going to be able to join. I did see a message somewhere. Let me just double check.
Well, Timo Gertz is at least in here, so we have our top 2 finishers.
For now, Max Cyrus isn't going to be joining us until I hear from him.
All right, well, then we will interview our top 2 finishers. But before we commence interviews, please, guys, make sure that you have allowed your voice to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to the party settings, click Always Allow, and let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
And Timo, are you ready?
Yep.
All right, so we will talk to our winner, Carwin Robb in the Haas. Another win on the season. You broke Max Cyrus's streak of what was 3 wins in a row. Could have been 4 today, but did not happen. So tell us about your race, and did you anticipate a good result going into Hungary?
Well, first off, what a mad race. I didn't know what to do for lap 1 to 35. Everything was changing, weather all the time. And personally, after seeing the laps, where did I qualify? It's like 3rd, wasn't it?
I think it was 5th or 6th, somewhere around there.
Well, after seeing like the top 3, their times were just mad, and I thought I'll be happy with the podium at least. But then I had seen X Gamer get a drive through, and then I was right on the back of the Red Bull. He was making too many mistakes, so I just thought, oh yeah, I got this easily. And then the safety car came, the rain got a bit lighter, so I thought I have to pit. And then I look behind me, and the Red Bull just completely cuts across the pit. So I don't know what to think about that. But yeah, it was a decent race. It was a change anyway with all the weather. I enjoyed it.
So talk to us about the changes in the weather and what motivates you to choose the tire that you do, especially when you're going from the intermediates to the dry weather tires. Was there any conflict in your mind of making that change, or were you just confident that that's what you had to do because the track was still fairly wet when everyone decided to go into pits?
I just have 100% faith in Jeff.
Excuse
Not
me?
many people say that.
No, but one time, I think it was when we were on full wets, I clicked the tyre status and he said it's ready for slicks, so that went very good. But I don't know, I think I got lucky with the strategy today, to be honest. I don't know. I was questioning myself quite a lot, like, is it good enough for Inters? I don't know. I just took a gamble. Every lap I went 100% sure. Just a little bit of luck involved.
Well, it worked out, and you now have another win on the season and a nice points haul for the Haas team. Unfortunate for your teammate.
Oh yeah, we got denied a 1-2.
You could have had a 1-2.
Yeah, we're in party as well when we were racing, and I just told him do anything but spin. And I look behind me and he's gone.
So can you give us a little bit of insight of what happened there? Because we were actually on board with him when that happened. It looked like he just clipped the curb.
Well, I didn't ask him what happened because all I did was shouting. So I just kept it to himself. But yeah, I'm guessing it was the curb. I done that quite a lot in time trial.
Well, nonetheless, congratulations on your win, Carwin Robb. You will increase your points lead after today.
Cheers.
And now we will talk to our second place finisher of Timo in the Mercedes. So Timo, first things first, I believe that this was your first race. Is that correct?
Yes, it was actually my debut. I expected to just get like a top 5 maybe, if all things go my way, but to get away with a second place, it's just amazing.
So what were your realistic expectations going into the Hungaroring?
I didn't know. Like, Hungaroring is one of my worst tracks. So I didn't really practice that much, so I was just thinking, well, like, if I can get away with top 5, it would be amazing. And seeing the weather with heavy rain, I was like, oh god, not again.
Well, you were leading in the rain, but then you had at least a decent amount of pace in the dry. So would you have preferred it to stay raining? And do you think you could have maybe been a little bit closer to Rob? Or was it just a second place run for you regardless?
I think it was just a second place run anyway, since I was sliding all over the place in the wet, and I don't think I would have stayed on track if it stayed wet. I was kind of happy to go to dry and have a bit more confidence.
Well, congratulations, Timo, on your second place finish, a podium in your debut race.
Thank you.
Now, Bossy, do you have any closing thoughts to what was an absolute manic and crazy Hungarian Grand Prix?
Apart from a chaotic and crazy race, moving on, next week we have the Italian Grand Prix. How are our drivers feeling about that race?
Rob, Timo?
Wait, what was the question, sorry?
How are you feeling about the Italian Grand Prix next week?
Wait, is it Italy? I thought it was Belgium.
You've already done Belgium.
Have we?
Mm-hmm.
When?
Week before last, just before Zandvoort.
Really?
Bossy,
I
are
don't
you
remember
looking at
Belgium.
the GP1 schedule, actually? Because I was told that it was Belgium as well.
They've already done Belgium.
I don't remember Belgium.
You did Belgium. Hang on, let me give. Yeah, you did Belgium after Britain.
Nah, Hungary was after Britain.
Yeah,
Last week was
Britain was
Britain.
last week.
Oh, hang on, this is GP1. Why am I looking at GP1?
Yes, there you go. That's what I was... For those viewers who don't know, the GP1 schedule's a little bit different than the GP5 through GP2, and so that was the confusion.
So how are we feeling about Belgium then?
It's just Belgium, and it's probably going to rain. So,
Rain.
it's what I'm prepared for.
Belgium's one of those tracks that is known for spinning as you come up through a road.
It's not my strongest track, but I'll try. I know Max Cyrus has just like picked up the pace these last few rounds, so I don't know.
Well,
I'll just hope for the best.
Timo, are you still with us?
Yeah?
How are you feeling about Belgium?
Yeah, it's a tricky track. It's a fun track, but it's yeah, a mistake will be punished hard, so it's going to be important to just stay on track, I think.
Well, hopefully we can see you back in the Mercedes at Belgium, and we'll see how Carvin Rob is able to do at Belgium. He anticipates it going to rain, and that's going to make Eau Rouge very, very interesting indeed. But with that, I think that is all the time that we have. So thank you all so much for the drivers that race with us, the viewers who watch the stream, and thank you to everyone who works hard at SFR to put this together. And congratulations to our top 3 finishers. And with that, good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. Have fun, and goodbye.